Welcome to the this Python tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to understand some basics of Python language as well as we will study in deep about machine learning. The first question that came in our mind after hearing about this tutorial, is that what is Python? So basically, what is Python? So Python is an integrated language and also called as general purpose language, which is used by many developers on daily basis. Okay, so basically, if we want to learn Python, then we have to understand its syntax and how actually the code is going to work. So for that, I started this tutorial, and we will go through some syntax and some core concepts of Python day by day. Like in the first day, we are going to introduce you with the term Python, and we are going to learn something about variables, data types, and about the Python versions, and what what is basically an IDE, and about the applications of Python. So before starting this tutorial, we will study about the history of Python. So for Python, basically every language has its own history. So similarly, Python is also a very popular language, and for that we have to understand what are the properties and characteristics of Python, and also about the history of Python. Okay, so the fact is that Python was like a hobby for some developers who started coding a new language that is called Python. That was their hobby, means a task given, and they accepted that task as a hobby. Now, so first of all, we have to understand history. So this is a programming language. Python is a programming language which conceived in the late 1980s, and basically its implementation was started in December 1989. So basically, after 9 years of concept, Python was implemented, and it was implemented by Guido von Rossum. So the question is that who was the father of Python? So simply Guido von Rossum can be considered, or is actually the father of Python. And this was developed at CWI in the Netherlands as a successor to ABC, capable of exception handling and interfering with the mobile operating system. Okay, so we all know that Python is very easy language, but the contents in Python is comparatively more than other languages like C, C++. C++ is very advanced language, but as compared to C++, Python syntax is very simple. But if we apply that to machine learning and artificial intelligence, then its usage is more as compared to other languages. So Python is a general purpose language. Basically, we can use Python for creating games, for creating web applications or desktop application, or we can utilize Python frameworks for going deep into machine learning like Keras, TensorFlow. There are several frameworks that are used in machine learning to implement the code, and to implement code to basically do research or to analyze the particular data sets. Data set is basically the collections of data. Okay, so like what is the probability of raining in a particular area, or what is going to be temperature next day, or what are the stock market trends, like the so stock market analysis, or any kind of analysis we can do all these stuffs using machine learning alone. Okay, so as you all know that machine learning and AI is now at its height. Basically, everyone wants to learn machine learning, or everyone wants to use machine learning in their day-to-day life. Also, we are using that in the form of like share chat, Snapchats, or recommendation system, Alexa, Siri. So these are basically the real life application or use cases of machine learning algorithms and also artificial intelligence. One term is also there called deep learning, which is used in neural networks. So basically, that is different concept, but that's also in the machine learning. Okay, So we will focus mainly on machine learning and its applications, and we will discuss some use case projects also. So first of all, we have to start with Python. So basically, Python is a general purpose language. So for general purpose language, we have different frameworks. Okay, so before going to frameworks directly, first of all, we have to understand what are the basic syntax that we can use in that frameworks. So first of all, like in if you begin any programming language, you have to follow some rules like variable naming, naming variables rule, or what is the basic syntax that you have to follow while writing any program. So similarly in Python there is no hard syntax, but there is some syntax that you have to follow, and one important concept is there in Python, that is like indentation. So you have to follow indentation. Indentation is basically like defining the block. Like in C or C++ we use we use curly braces, but in Python we will use something called indentation, that is giving spaces to your statement. Okay, so first of all, writing our first hello world program. So first hello world program, so we have to print hello world on the console. So basically this is Google Colab, in which we are going to code all these stuffs. You can use any other IDs or any other notebooks, like you have Jupyter notebook, also you can use that, there is Jupyter notebook, you can install that in your machine and then you can use that, or you can have Visual Studio Code, you can use that also, and you can use other like Spider or Anaconda package, or you can simply download Anaconda package in which you can use anything. Okay, so next is so how to write hello world program. So for this tutorial or for the upcoming tutorials, we are going to use Google Collaborate. So simply, if you don't know how to use Google Colab, then search on uh, Google Colab, and now you can search Google Colab on the search option, and simply it will open a page. In that you have to just go to file and you have to create a new notebook, and there will be like untitled.ipynb. Ipynb means it is a Python notebook. It is a Python IPython notebook. Okay, so basically you have to type rename that notebook and you can start by using that, and these are the cells in which we are going to write our small codes, and this is like running the code. So Python is an interpreted language, means it does not require any kind of compilation. It will give output as well as you write the codes. Okay, like this. And there is like file new, open in, locate in drive. You can share this file to insert, like you have to insert something like this. So there is an option here where you can add a cell for coding or add a cell for text. So you can learn both by using text and code both. So these cells are very useful for that. So when you want to run any cell, then you simply go here, or you can use any other thing like shift plus enter. Okay, so shift plus enter will also be helpful for the running the code. Okay, so first of all, our first program is how to write or how to print hello world in the console or in the terminal or in the cell output. Okay, or in anything anywhere else. So basically we have to write print function, and we have to just put double quotes, and inside that double quotes we have to write hello world. Okay, like this. So this is all about our first program. Now to run that, we should simply click here run cell or control plus enter. Okay, now this. So basically it will take time for you in the beginning, but after that it will take no time. Okay, so like hello world is the output. Similarly, if you want to print your name, then you can use print. My name is like web. Okay, web, like this. So this is my name is wrapper. Okay, so Python is very easy as compared to other language in terms of syntax. So like this. So in C or C++, you have to include the header file, then you have to use the namespace in like C++, then you have to follow the main function, then you have to use the brackets, and at last you have to use the cout statement to print something. and then you have to return something or less. So that is very like there are more lines of code as compared to Python. Or in Python you simply print like hello world and it will execute the same statement. Okay, so this is very simple as you can see. Similarly, we can use Python for calculating the values. Like if we want to perform mathematical operation, then Python is as simple as like a calculator. So you have to just use like 1 plus 2, it will give me 3. Okay, so basically we are running in a notebooks, then we don't need to write any kind of print statement to execute this. We can simply write 1 plus 2 equal to 3. Similarly, this can be written as like this. We can write this as hello world alone, it will give me the outputs. It will give me the output. Okay, like this hello world. Okay, similarly, so we discussed about the hello world program and about basic operation, that is addition operation in Python. So plus is like adding two values. Okay, now first of all we have to go through the variable. So how to create a variable in Python? So basically if you want to create a variable in Python. Okay, so you can create a variable, as Python is dynamic language. So basically you do not need to write the data type of the variable. Okay, with the variable name, like in C or C++ you are writing like this, and a equal to 10 means a will store the value 10 as an integer. Okay, like this. But in Python you don't need to specify that uh, specifically. Okay, so you have to use that like you have to write like that, a equal to 10. So our interpreter will interpret that a is a variable that has that has value 10, and which is also called as which is also an integer data type. So we do not need to specify this earlier that it is of integer data type or float data type or complex or a string. Okay, so let us create a variable like this. So for integer variable like this, integer variable, so like this integer variable. Okay, suppose this is integer variable. So we are using has for comments. Okay, similar in C++ we are using double slash for comments. In C language we are using the same, but in Python we use has to create comments. Comments are those lines or statements that our interpreter or compiler ignore. Okay, so like if we have to create int variable, so we can create like this, num equal to 10. Suppose we have to create float variable, then we can write like num1 equal to, or num like 10.0. Suppose we have a string, so for a string we have num equal to, or name like this, name equal to wrap of. Okay, so like this. So these are the basic data types: integer, float, string. So these are the basic data types we have to discuss. Okay, so how to create a variable? So there are rules for creating variables. Like we have to follow certain ruling convention as same as in C or C++. So variable name should not start with like numbers. Variable name must not contain any special characters other than the underscore. Okay, and variable names should be considered as should be considered very specific to that program or very specific to that function or module. Okay, so that's about that all about variables. So like that we can create other variables like age. So age can be like 87 or 54 like this, or 12. So we can print age, so we can print age like this. Okay, so this is all about the variables. Now we have to go through data type. So as we discussed data types, like we have integer value, we have float value, we have a string value. So there are other data types, they are the basic data types. Other data types are other data types example, other data types like list, sets, dictionaries, and string is also as a other data type, but we discussed it earlier. Okay, Now, if we talk about the applications of Python, so Python can be used in any area regarding to computer science. We can create web applications, we can create desktop applications, we can create GUI apps like graphical user interface apps, or we can do analysis on particular topic. We can do a statistical analysis, we can have machine learning with Python, we can have AI with Python. Generally we do AI and machine learning with Python, but machine learning is also done with like our language. Okay, so these are the applications of Python in general. Okay, so Python can be used to create games also. So we have like pygame pygame for creating games in Python. Next is about the IDE. So you can use anything like Jupyter Notebook, Spider, Anaconda package. You can install Anaconda package, and you can uh, install anything as which you favor the most. Like you can have PyCharm for creating Python applications. You can use anything. Okay, now for these tutorials we are going to use Collaboratory, and as we discussed earlier about the Collaboratory, so you have to follow these steps. Like you have to create a new notebook, then you have to rename that notebook, and then you can start your Python. So this tutorial is very basic. In the next upcoming tutorial the concepts are going to be more deeper. So